What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Talk Punch, the place where we talk about all those nerdy things you love talking about. Thanks so much for joining us. While you're here, go ahead and make sure you like, subscribe, as well as hitting that notification bell. You got to hit that notification bell. That way, when a new episode comes out every Wednesday at noon, you'll get to see what we're talking about that week. Like this week, where we are listing the top 10 Pixar movies. I am Brody Hanson, joined, as always, by Charlie Hickman, my friend and yours. Charlie Hickman. How's it going, Charlie?
I've been holding in a cough the whole intro.
I should have kept going.
I followed something wrong, man. And you were doing so good. You had such a great energy, and you were just crushing that intro. If you were watching Brody as you should have been, go ahead and rewind now, and you can watch the intro again. But this time, watch my face. I'm like, try not to let out this loud.
I can't wait to watch that in post.
But I am much better now. I'm cough free, and I'm drinking coffee, and I'm with my brode. So yeah, this is gonna be a fun list. I am excited to go through.
Now, a number of these movies, Charlie. You and I saw a bunch of these early ones together.
We did.
I remember a couple very specific ones. I remember you and I saw Incredibles together at the midnight showing.
Very excited for that one when it came out.
So, you and I have a long history of Pixar movies. So, I am also excited to go through this list. All right.
Should we just start? Are we diving in?
I guess so. How you doing? You doing okay?
Aside
from your cough,
it was a rough start for me, but I'm recovering now, as it's good. There was a few weeks ago or episodes ago, I think it was way back in our Christmas episode. I told the story of how I fell down the stairs.
Yeah, I remember that.
And crushed myself, limbs everywhere, broken bones.
Sure.
Look, this morning, it's downstairs, and I hear this thud. I'm like, oh no.
Uh-oh.
Did one of the kids fall? No. My wife fell down the stairs. And I'm not saying she made fun of me. I'm not saying that karma had a role in this whatsoever.
Okay.
Did she refer to me as being an old man when I fell down the stairs and broke several bones into little pieces of dust? Perhaps. Does that make her an even older lady for having not learned from my mistakes and also falling down the stairs, perhaps? No, it means that she is beautiful and wonderful and probably watching this, and I'm glad you're okay. But you did fall down the stairs. Now, my friend Katie fell walking upstairs, which we often teased her about back in the day, Brody. Remember Cubby?
Was that Cubby or was that...
Well, that was Cubby. She fell walking upstairs, which is very hard to do.
That wasn't Messala?
No. Messala was the one who could tickle her own hand.
Well, yes, I know which one Messala is. I just thought it was Messala that could fall.
You got them. They were both. They looked similar. Blondes, Brody.
It's true. Oh, okay. Yeah, Cubby. I guess. I don't doubt that she would have the ability.
Fun fact
to fall
about
upstairs.
Cubby. Also, we were driving in a car together once, and then all of a sudden she started gasping, and then she's like, "Do you ever just forget to breathe?"
Oh.
I miss Cubby.
Yep. We got a lot of good stories. All right. Well, on that note, top 10 Pixar movies.
Top 10 Pixar.
Ba-ba-bum. Look at this. We even got a new graphic.
Oh, and look, it is the Talk Punch logo circle. Brody actually put a copyright down on the circle. So if you're ever using circles out there, you got to pay Brody royalties.
Yeah, I copyrighted this particular blue.
Oh, nice. I didn't know we got the color, too. Awesome.
Well, did you know that UPS copyrighted brown?
That can't possibly be true. Like, the color brown? Like, we can't use the color brown?
Yeah. And I think Home Depot has the color orange copyrighted.
It's got to be orange in something. It can't just be the color orange, because people use orange all the time. Like, for instance, orange companies or orange juice companies. Anyway,
I don't know.
I don't know. Are you in there first or am I in there first?
I think it's me.
All right. Well, we'll find out
So
unless we have the same number 10.
So, okay, how did you build your list, Charlie? Did you include multiples from a franchise? Did you only do one franchise or one movie per franchise? Was it just however you wanted to do it?
It was however I wanted, and I didn't specifically set out when I started making my list to say, okay, I'm only going to put one of each franchise in there. So I didn't like limit my methodology that way, but I did weight significance, like personal significance, above quality of film.
Okay.
So there are some like towards the top that I'm not advocating that they are necessarily the best Pixar films, but they are deeply connected to me in some way or another, and so they get a little extra weight to them. When you're talking Pixar, I mean, if we were doing all 20-something films, I mean, being like the 20th ranked Pixar film is pretty good. It is a pretty strong catalog. I don't think you and I are going to argue too much. I can't imagine that we're going to have even strikingly different lists, but who knows? We'll see.
Yeah, I'm guessing there's going to be a fair amount of crossovers on this.
Yeah. And we don't have to spend too long on the crossovers, but there are some that, I'll share a personal anecdote or two. But that was kind of my methodology. How about you? Did you kind of limit yourself to one per franchise, or did you go crazy?
No, I just
Toy Stories.
I just kind of went crazy. I was like, however I thought, is there really 20 in Pixar movies?
I think there might be like 23.
Is there really?
Look that up.
Wow. Okay.
That's a lot.
I didn't realize there was that many. There are a couple that I haven't seen. I still haven't seen Coco. Is that the only one? No,
there's 23 feature films.
There's others that I know I haven't seen.
Look at me! I pulled 23 right out of the old noggin there.
Man, that is your number.
Fact-checked.
That is your number. All right. Well, yeah, I just went for it. So we'll see. I don't remember what my list is. So as usual, it's going to be a surprise for both of us.
No one's more surprised by Brody's list than Brody.
What is my number 10? I actually know my number 10.
I know you do? Oh, wow.
I do.
Spoiler alert.
I do. I know it. All right, my number 10 is Soul. Get that little thing off that screen. Doggone it. Google. All right. Look at this layout. My goodness. It's Brody's pick, and it's number 10, and it's Soul.
I'm sorry. What are we getting off the screen? What is Google? Why are you mad at Google?
You didn't see the little bar at the bottom of the thing?
I was busy looking at your dreamy brown eyes. I missed the logo.
Oh yeah, they had a little like control bar at the bottom of the poster.
All right, get it out.
Get
Google's
it out of here. Come on.
Get it out of here. Come on.
So Soul, it's the newest. It just came out like 2 months ago. Not even 2 months ago. A month and a half ago. And it was good. I really liked it. I particularly appreciated just the like technical aspect of this. This movie was beautiful. This movie looked so good. I mean, like comparing this movie to something older like a Toy Story 1, it's unbelievable how far Pixar's technology has come. This movie was gorgeous. Like the outside, the people, the textures, it looked so good. And then you add in, the music was great. The story was fun. It was good. I enjoyed it. It's on my number 10, so I do enjoy the others more, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. This appears on my list at number 9, so spoiler alert. So I'll just follow that up. I mean, yeah, you're right. It's just visually it's gorgeous, and this one just like as a musician, like I really connected to this movie on a couple different layers, and just the idea of like getting lost in the music and the idea of someone who wants to be a professional musician but is also a music teacher. These are all different things that, that I've been through.
Kind of hit home for you, huh?
yeah, for sure. So I just found myself very, very connected to it. And this might be a riser on my list. I've only gotten a chance to watch it once so far.
Yeah, so have I.
One of the things that we've done over the pandemic year of 2020 is I've really rewatched basically the entire Pixar catalog. I think maybe we didn't watch Bug's Life. But I think we made it all the way through the entirety of the catalog last year. So I do have, these are all pretty fresh in my brain. But I am looking forward to watching this one again, and I did really enjoy it. So it was good, very good film.
Well, there you go. So there's my number 10, Soul. All right, Charlie, your number 10.
My number 10 is, I think an underappreciated, underloved, underenjoyed Pixar film, Cars. And I get it. I get it. Can I say I get it? It is not the typical Pixar film. It feels in some ways maybe more like just a flagship Disney film.
Okay.
Where it's like, it's cute, it's fun, it's got cars. It doesn't have like the depth or the like the depth of storytelling, like, punch you in the gut, kind of like really tie you to some fantastical world. It's like this world, but with cars. So it doesn't have like that. In fact, realistically, this movie is just Doc Hollywood. I don't know if you've ever seen Doc Hollywood.
Yeah, Michael J. Fox.
But a young Michael J. Fox. If you guys haven't seen Doc Hollywood, it is on HBO Max. It is essentially a story of a rich doctor who thinks he's too good for a small town, and he crashes his car into a fence, and then the town sentences him to be a doctor in the town, so he has to stay in the town and work. And guess what? He falls in love with a girl, and he falls in love with the town. Very much the story of Cars.
I have never made that connection before.
This is my youngest son's favorite movie. So
Okay.
it's partially on the list because I have seen it so many times now. And we do you want to? Are we going to talk more about Cars later, or should I give my Cars 2 and 3 speech here? Should I wait? Or I don't know.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about more Cars later.
Okay, then we'll talk later. All right, but I actually watched specifically Doc Hollywood recently just because I was like watching Cars, and I was like, I want to watch a little Michael J. This just reminded me so much of the plot, and I watched it. And now, if you're if you're thinking, oh Michael J. Fox, I'll watch it with the kids, I wouldn't necessarily recommend that with the Doc Hollywood. There is some language, a little bit of nudity, so not as for the kiddos as the Cars, but what a cute, funny movie. So this was my explanation of why I picked Doc Hollywood as my top number 10 Pixar film.
There you go. All right,
Michael J.
Number 9. What is my number 9? Oh, I know what my number 9 is. It's Inside Out. Now, this one I have only seen one time, and it like wrecked me. And I think, and it's kind of a theme with I think most of the Pixar movies, is you can watch them before you have kids, and they can bring a tear to your eye. And then you watch them after you have kids, and you're just a mess. It just wrecks you. And this was one of those ones that I saw when I didn't even have all 4 kids yet. I think I had the first 3, and they were all very young. And like, oh gosh, I remember like it just tore me up. And it's really good. I've only seen it once. I don't know when I'm going to watch it again because I know it's going to be, tough again to see it, especially as like my daughter's around that age and all that stuff. But yeah, but it was great. I really enjoyed this one. I would like to watch it again one day. I just have to muster the courage. So.
Yeah, this one does make an appearance on my list later on as well, but I'll just talk about it now and then we can kind of skip it later. This one is this was one I kind of avoided a little bit after I saw some previews for it. It took me a while to get to it. It really did. And in fact, I just watched it 2 years ago for the first time when Felix was my youngest son was born.
Okay.
And there was a lot of like late nights where I'm just kind of holding him, and I just figure I'll watch some Pixar films, which was a terrible mistake.
That's a terrible idea. That's a terrible.
I'm sitting there, I'm holding my newborn son in my arms, and I'm watching this movie, and I'm just like, tears are falling on his head. I'm just, We'll see which one of us can cry louder. This, as someone who's like struggled with depression and anxiety, like when they're showing the scenes of like those happy memories and then just like sadness touches them and they turn blue, it's like, man, I felt that so deep in my soul. It's like, oh man, I just have these kind of joyous memories that are just so like, just that touch of sadness that comes in and overtakes them. And it was like, I think it's a really good movie. It's a very meaningful movie. It's one that I have watched since that emotional time with my youngest. My oldest kids watched this earlier when it came out with their mom. So they'd already seen it once, so then they watched it again. My oldest son now does this thing when we watch a movie where he kind of like, he sits close to me and he kind of eyeballs me. He's a cry counter. So like we're watching a movie and there's like an emotional scene and he's just kind of like eyeballing and then he's like, and then he sees the tears come and he kind of like so then afterwards like, hey Dad, you were crying during that one, huh? It's like, yes, I was crying during Detective Pikachu. They did dad stuff and it made me sad.
Man, anything with kids these days, just, oh man, it's tough. It's tough to watch the kids stuff when you're a parent. Oh,
but it's a good, and by the way, if you're not, I mean, Brody's right. These movies hit differently at different stages of your life. I think is well, like most movies, I just think there's like a longevity to a lot of these Pixars, just because a lot of the universal and general themes, sometimes to a fault. But I think this one is a great one, whether you have kids or you're just a single person. It just dealing with that kind of emotional mental health and the, we sometimes have pressure to not feel all of the various feelings that we get encountered with in our life, to kind of shove things down and really kind of hide our true feelings and emotions. And I do think there is something very cathartic about watching a movie that really kind of just gives you permission to feel everything.
Yeah.
And this one will make you feel all of the things.
Yeah.
So check it out if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, and I think
Be brave.
it's one that I'd like to watch again now that my kids are a little bit older, and maybe they can pick up on some of that stuff. Yeah. Because they are bundles of emotion. My 9 through 4-year-olds are. All right, Charlie. There you go.
All right, so
there's your number 9.
So and we talked about Soul. Like it's this is a very fun movie. Sorry, I gotta get my Soul backdrop. So we don't need to rehash anything, but it's just, you can tell the background. It's just beautiful. So if you haven't had a chance to watch this yet, and it's newer, so maybe this is one that you guys haven't seen. I definitely think you should give it a try. I think maybe there was some missed opportunities, I think, to really make it land in like a truly special way. I think it's a really fantastic movie. I do want to watch it again, but the music's great, and think of us when you watch it.
Yep. Think of us.
Think of us.
All right.
Think of Brody's. Picture this face when you're watching it. This Brody's beautiful, soulful brown eyes.
Number 8. Now I don't remember what my number 8 is. Oh, it's Toy Story 1. Toy Story 1. This movie is still great. I remember when this came out and just marveling at how good this looked. And now watching it and being like, and I specifically chose this poster because, like, look at how smooth that dog is. There is not any fur on that dog. He is just a smooth dog. It's technically it has aged, but it's also like, what, 25 years old? Like it's wild.
Yeah, it's wild
that this is that it's that old. But it's still a great story. I still love the story. I still love the characters. This set up all of Toy Story, and I think it's a great franchise. It's been a great story. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have a whole lot else to say. It's great. It's one that you can still watch today, and the story and everything else still holds up. So, is this on your list?
This is not on my list.
I should be asking you that before I talk about this stuff. Remind me.
Yeah, probably.
Jump in. If something's on your list, jump in and say, It's on my list later,
All right.
and then we'll skip it.
A lot of you probably never heard of this movie. It was not very famous, and it has no. Oh no, I guess it does have a few sequels, but they're just straight to video. Very small franchise, so give it a chance. Check it out, Toy Story.
Yeah, it's still good, even 25 years later.
Sometimes, by the way, I have gotten some messages that sometimes my sarcasm doesn't come through. I am, of course, being sarcastic. It's a very well-known piece. You don't need us to tell you to watch Toy Story. All right, so on to my number 8.
Number 8. Finding Dory. Okay.
Finding Dory. Now, I went with Finding Dory because, again, I mentioned in the beginning, I was going to weight personal significance.
Okay.
This was the first movie that I ever took my kids to see in a theater. So the kids were young, like 6 and 4, and I was like convinced this was going to be a disaster. I just knew, like, this is going to be one of those like stories that I get to tell for years to come, to embarrass my kids at like.
We took you to take Finding Dory, and it was horrible.
Finding Dory, and it turned into finding my own kids because they wandered away, and I was like, "Where are they?" Or they were just screaming the whole time, and we had to leave. I still don't know how it ends. But actually, they both like watched it, and
nice.
My middle son was like, he gets excited, so he was like standing up and jumping, but like quietly, and he was just like super into it, and so it was like a really fun, just like the movie going experience was really fun. I don't think this is a better movie than Finding Nemo necessarily. They both have really like wonderful moments in them, and really funny moments, and then really like touching moments, like a lot of Pixar where it turns on that dime and you're kind of like it gets you with that gut punch. I do think it's really sweet, like when she finds her family, and I just that ending scene really gets me. But for me personally, just like I just have these wonderful memories of watching my kids watch this and being at the theater, and then just making it through the whole thing. I did mention on the podcast the story that my mom likes to tell, where I was like, a wee child who had to pee during the E.T. film, and how mad she was because I couldn't make it through a 2.5 hour movie without having to use the bathroom. But my kids didn't need to use the bathroom. Boom! In your face, young me. You suck, baby Charlie. My kids are awesome. See, every generation we get better.
Sure.
But anyway, so I do like this one. It's a cute film, and I think it holds up pretty well. So this is one of our family favorites.
Yeah, I like this one. It didn't make my list, but yes, it was enjoyable. Yeah.
All right, well, on to the next.
On to number 7.
Number 7.
Is that not centered? It's not centered.
No, it is not. It is not. Let them know in the comments too. Light them up. Can't even center a 7.
That's horrible. Okay, just
podcast room. Let's shut it down. Shut it down.
My number 7 is Up. Now, Up, I have only seen a couple times. Similarly to Inside Out, where the movie has parts that are incredibly sad. I mean, I saw when this came out, I don't remember what year this came out. I want to say it was like 2008 or so.
I want to say 9. I'm going to look it up, though.
2009, maybe. I was pretty freshly married at this point. And so that opening 5 minutes of just those people going through their lives to have one of them die, oh my goodness. It just, like Pixar, what are you doing? Why are you doing this to me? Why do you hate me? Why are you trying to just like crush my heart because this character that I've known for less than 5 minutes just died, and yeah, I mean, really, the rest of the movie is good. It's enjoyable. I enjoy the characters and things like that. But really, like, man, this story of that first 5 minutes, and then kind of the story of that main character kind of fulfilling the stuff that he wanted to do with his wife is really what sticks out like the most to me, even beyond, the stuff with the kid and the dogs and the bad guy. Like, that really stuck with me. And then it's just beyond that, it's just a fun movie. So there's my number 7.
You can actually watch. You can watch a video of you find it on YouTube. What a great brand! But like this VFX artist simulates the Pixar scene with the house lifting up with
really?
like 30 billion balloons or something like that it would take to actually lift a house in the air.
Oh my goodness!
31 million balloons. I was grossly exaggerating.
That's a lot.
It was
of balloons.
2009, by the way.
Oh, 2009.
So,
okay. So I had been married
I
for like
watched it-
2 years. And I'm like, oh my
So it's-
gosh,
it's
my
really
wife's gonna die. I'm gonna be alone and a grumpy old man. Oh my goodness. This is my story.
Aww. Aww. I'm sure you'll die much sooner than she will.
I'm already a grumpy old man. It's
Mazel
okay.
tov.
It's okay. All right.
She knew what she was getting into.
Charlie, your number 7 is...
My number 7 is The
Incredible.
Incredibles. Now I'm guessing this is much higher
this
up on your
is
list.
on my list. So
Do you want to wait and talk about it?
yeah. Let's wait.
All right.
We'll touch on it later. Number 7 though.
Sounds good.
That seems awful low. All right. Number 6. What is my number 6?
It's The Incredibles, isn't it? You're gonna give me a hard time about having The Incredibles number 7.
Nope, it's Finding Nemo.
Nemo.
I did like the first one more than the second one. Yeah, it goes back to the kid thing, having the dad look for the kid, having like the reuniting and the kid, all that. I think
Sure.
both of them were good. They're pretty close, really, both of them. I think Finding Nemo and Finding Dory are probably two of the closest of like the sequels being kind of on par with each other. I think I just give a little edge to the first one. I really enjoy it.
Yeah.
So
I get it.
there's my number 6.
Good call by you.
Is Nemo on your list, or did you just put Dory on your list?
Just Dory.
Okay.
Just Dory. All right, so my number 6.
Your number 6. Oh, there you go.
So we already talked about it, so we don't need to rehash this. But yeah, it's a quality film. Make sure you check it out.
It is.
Bring a box of tissues.
A couple boxes of tissues. Bring a box of
Couple
tissues,
boxes of tissues.
for every person that's watching it with you.
Yes.
All right, number 5.
Number 5.
What's my number 5? It's Monsters, Inc. This one.
Now this one is on my list.
Oh, okay.
If
Well,
you'd
then
like to
let's wait. Let's wait. This is going to be a short video, guys, because I think the best Pixar movies are on both of our lists. So we're really just going to be talking about like 5 movies. Maybe
We'll
6.
we'll see.
Maybe 6 or 7 because you chose a sequel that I didn't, or something like that.
Hey, at the end, I think we can debate a couple of things. So we'll fill out a little time. Don't
right.
be too sad.
All right.
All right.
We are trying to shorten
for-
our episodes, so this works.
There you go.
All right, Charlie, you're number 5. Oh, okay. I don't have this on my list.
It's a little behind the curtain here. Brody and I, we talk about things that, what are these topics that we're going to be talking about on these episodes, and we plan them out in advance, and so we kind of have an idea of what's coming, so we can do, necessary research, refresh ourselves on movies, TV shows, comics, whatever we need to, video games, whatever we need to refresh ourselves on. So I've known we were going to do this Pixar for a while, so this is one that I hadn't seen in a while. So I was like,
Okay.
I'm probably not going to put this on my top 10. I remember I've watched it a couple times, and then now, and then I rewatched it, and I was like, and I just loved it. And I've rewatched it like twice since I found out we were making this list, just because
wow.
I enjoyed it so much.
Okay.
I don't know if it just hits a little differently now, but this is it's a really beautiful film. You're right. Like all the animation it looks better and better, and somehow I will look back one day at Soul and be like, phew, yeah, I used to think that looked really good, and I'm sure, when they're just, when things are animated to look exactly like real life or whatever it may be in the future. But this was like the landscape of Paris and stuff was just really, really great. Patton Oswalt is always a charmer and fantastic.
Who's Patton Oswalt in this?
He's the voice
of who?
The main character.
The guy or the rat?
The rat.
Really?
Remy.
I didn't know that. Oh, I didn't know that.
Okay. Who'd you? All right. Well, yeah. But there you go. See, look, we're educating Brody all over the place.
I haven't seen this movie in a while. So
you look. You should rewatch it because it is quite good, and I think there's something beautiful about just the themes. They're very universal. The idea of that anybody can really be anything regardless of like what they look like or where they're from. Whether you're born a rat in this case. No, you can never be a chef because and then he becomes a chef. And I think that some of those themes, especially today, really translate at a time in our history where we're really trying to emphasize that doesn't matter what kind of level of economics you're born into, what your race is, what your gender is, what your what any of these qualifiers that used to really be barriers, that you can really be anything that you want, and that above all else, skill really rises to the top. And I was talking with my wife today about this. We were talking about how it's kind of neat. Like there's going to be, I'm anticipating, and it's already kind of happening, a new era in entertainment where you used to hear these stories of like these really awful people who worked as directors or actors or musicians, like, don't look me in the eye, and and there's just so much talent now, and it's so much easier to find talented people that I'm hoping, and we're seeing some of this, I think, that just maybe you can't be that person anymore and be successful. Like there's just no reason to put up with a director or an actor who's just a really terrible human being just because they're talented, because there's just so many talented people around. Maybe one of the great things that will help people rise to the top now is just actually being a quality human being who people want to work with and who people want to be around. And that's one of the, I just think that's a really cool like theme in this particular movie. Just the his passion, find something you love in your life as much as Remy loves cooking. His passion for food and things like that. It's just and maybe it's because I'm dieting, but man, he's in there cooking, and I'm just like, food, I
need a rat.
I would love a little rat chef. Are you kidding me? It just whip me up a little breakfast in the morning, you can pull my hair. I don't know. So a rat can control my hands. I'll be a chef. It made me want to cook, and I make a mean spaghetti. This movie, like I could be a chef. I want to cook. That didn't last very long. Like the effects of a movie wear off pretty quick, especially when it's not like a true passion of yours. So I'll cook, and then I'll make a lunch. Then I'm like, actually it's a lot of work. I'll stick to music and talking to Brody. But I really it's a very fun film, and I did really enjoy rewatching that a couple of times over the last year or so.
Yeah, I haven't seen this in a while. I should probably watch it again.
Yeah. If you don't know Patton Oswalt as the voice of the main character, watch it again. If that's news to you,
news to me. All right, number 4.
Number 4.
What is my number 4? It could be. I know what my number 1 and 2, 3, 4. I think it might be.
All right, everyone take a moment to guess.
Oh, I was between 2. I thought that this was going to be higher. Actually.
Wow.
Now Cars 3.
I'm shocked.
Cars 3 specifically. Okay. Now, I liked Cars 1. Cars 2 was different. I wasn't as much a fan. I was kind of like, why did they make this? Like, all of a sudden people are super spies and Mater is a spy. It went like a completely different direction. I felt like Cars 3 brought it back to kind of where Cars 1 was, but like past it. I really liked Cars 3. And I was kind of shocked. I was looking this up. People don't like this movie. It's not like rated really highly on like people's lists and things like that.
Sure.
And I was shocked because I finished it and I was like, man, that is the best Cars of the series. Like, I really enjoyed it. And both me and Amy were like, that was really good. Like, that was surprisingly good. Maybe because I had such low expectations after going through, like, Cars 2 and stuff. And I was like, oh, they're doing a Cars 3. Like, you know, whatever, we'll watch it. Maybe I just was expecting so little that I was so surprised that it was good. But I really, really enjoyed this one. If I had to pick any of the Cars movies, obviously, I would watch Cars 3 with the kids and stuff. This, I really liked it. I liked that they brought in, like, the female racer and kind of, you know, enabled her to go and do that stuff. You know, showing that to, like, a daughter and being like, you can do this. You can do, like, whatever you want, you know. And then it was just fun. It took, like, the fun stuff. It had, like, the mud ramp race thing, you know, that was fun. And really, like, I think this one surprised me because I thought I saw where this movie was going. And then it had, like, that beach scene. And it, like, took a hard turn. And all of a sudden, it wasn't about lightning. It was about, you know, this gal that was helping him. And all of a sudden, like, the whole thing shifted. And I was so surprised and really happy with that decision. And so this one, I really liked this movie. So there's my number 4, Cars 3.
Can I give you my mini Cars rant?
Yes, now, because this is the last Cars. Cars 2 is not higher on my list. Or Cars 1.
What? So I've become well versed. I realized once my youngest son was born and he was, like, super into cars, like, more so than either of my other 2 sons. I mean actual, like, cars, not just, like, the movie Cars.
Yeah.
You know, my other kids, like, would play with cars a little bit here and there, but that just wasn't really where they didn't really, like, fall in love with cars at all. They just, you know, they had other interests and other things. But my youngest, he's all about the cars. So he loves Cars the movie. So I've become well versed. I realized I hadn't really seen Cars the movie all the way through until he was born because my other kids just weren't into it. And so I put it on and I'm like, okay, let's try this new Pixar film that's just, you know, it's on Netflix now, we'll watch Cars, and they're just like, eh. So I just hadn't watched it all the way through. So I kind of saw all 3 around the same time, so without the distance between.
Okay.
And one of the things that really stood out to me that bothered me is that we never actually see Lightning McQueen win a race. 3 movies.
I guess that's true.
All he does is lose or tie. So in the first movie, he ties, and then he stops short of the goal. He even loses to Doc Hudson to have to stay in the town. So he loses 3 times. And then it comes the second one, and it's a 3-leg race. He wins one of the 3 legs, but they don't finish the race because apparently super spies and bombs and Mater, whatever. And then they go home, and there's going to be another race, but we don't see the end. Who knows? And then all of a sudden now he's past his prime, and he can't win the race except that, you know, and they do like the Phantom Menace thing where everyone just stops, you know, they stop racing altogether, and all the other cars are still moving, but somehow they catch up. After, like, taking 20 minutes to talk for a little while. Are you sure? Is it okay if I go out on the track? Oh, no, Cruz, you go finish it. It's going to be great. It's totally legal. It's fine. And then after enough convincing, they go, and she catches him, much like the pod racing, where it makes no sense that Anakin was able to catch up. So much like my story. So, and it all comes back to Star Wars, because I'm always complaining about Star Wars. We never get to see Jedi's just being awesome. We never get to see Lightning McQueen being awesome. And it's not even that big of a gap. Like, his career was very short, and then all of a sudden he's washed up, and we never get to see him win a race. Like, it's a movie about a race car, and he never wins. Does he even have? They talk about his trophy. He doesn't even win the mutter race. He loses the mutter, and Cruz has the trophy. He can't even win one of the little mini races. He's the worst race car in the history. Even Chuck Hicks wins a race on screen, and he's cheating the whole time, and no one seems to care. And it hits different when you're thinking the cars are living beings that can die. Doc dies. Cars can die when they wreck, and he's over there just wrecking cars. This would be like I'm running a marathon and I'm just hitting guys off cliffs and watching them fall to their doom, and no one's. Well, that's just Chuck Hicks. That's how he runs the race. He gonna win. And it's no problem. Everyone's mad. Oh, Chuck, that was some poor sportsmanship. Nothing we can do, though. We're just cars who are alive who happen to have a race that you can cheat in. And would it have been worse sportsmanship if Lightning McQueen had gone an extra inch to win the race and then gone back and pushed him across the finish line? Would that have been poor sportsmanship? Was it that important that he lose to Chuck Hicks, the worst sport of all time, so that forever in the history of Radiator Springs and Piston Cup, he done what in his cup? He pissed in his cup. That Chuck Hicks is a winner, and we get a seat on screen, and we never even get to celebrate Lightning McQueen in a finish line. That's my Cars rant.
There you go.
That's one of the reasons I didn't like Cars 3. I want to see him win a race, Brody. I just want to see him win a race.
Wasn't it in
Cars 2 is
newspapers
terrible.
and stuff that he was a winner?
Does that make, if I read a newspaper, if they start the new Star Wars with like a spitting newspaper that says Obi-Wan Kenobi does amazing things with a lightsaber, and I never get to see it, like, is that oh, I'm sure that was really awesome too, and now I just watch him be old and suck. So that was my only complaint, but I did enjoy Cars 3. I did not enjoy Cars 2. My kids like Cars 2. It kind of, Cars 2 felt a little bit like if after Phantom Menace they were like, what if we make a Jar Jar film?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, and I know the kids like Mater, but that's a tough sell for me as
and that's kind of what it is. It was like, this Vader character is really popular with the kids, so let's make a Vader
kids
movie.
seem to really like it.
And so that's what it was. Yeah. So.
You're done. Yeah. All right. Well, anyway, that's my Cars rant. So.
There you go.
There will be no more Cars appearing on my list.
Okay. Nope. Not mine either. All right. Your number 4.
My number 4 is Toy Story.
Toy Story 3. Okay.
And
now this is on my list.
Oh, it is. Oh, is it higher?
It is higher on my list. Yes.
Okay. Is it the next one?
Yes.
Let's find out.
Okay.
Let's find out.
No, it is. It is.
Click to it.
Okay.
Click to it.
Number 3. Toy Story 3. All right, let's talk about Toy Story 3, Charlie.
Let's talk about Toy Story 3.
This movie was so good.
This was a really good movie. This is my favorite. Obviously, this is my favorite of the Toy Stories. I guess I shouldn't say obviously. Spoiler alert: I don't have a Toy Story higher than this one on my list. Look, Toy Story for me, as a franchise, and maybe we can talk a little bit more about this after we wrap. But I never had a toy that was really special to me growing up. Like I never had this one special action figure or stuffy or like a Woody or a Buzz that I played with. I had, action figures that represented like Star Wars or, different, He-Man figures or Transformers or whatever. And there are cool characters that I enjoy, but I didn't like love any toys. So I like watching the movies. Like I've always enjoyed the Toy Story franchise, but it doesn't like hit me in the gut with some kind of like wicked nostalgia where I'm like, oh man, I sure remember being a boy and having my little Woody toy, playing with my Woody all the time. So I never did that. So for me, it's like it doesn't have that, and my kids just never really connected with Toy Story. Like they, of all the Pixar films that we've watched together as a family, this has been the hardest franchise for me to get them to get excited about. We've watched them all together, and it took me a long time to get them to even just sit all the way through the first Toy Story. I was so excited to share it with them. I'm like, oh, finally some cartoons that like I like and my kids will love them. As a new dad, I was like, I can't wait till like we're watching some stuff that I think is awesome and that my kids will think is awesome. And it just never really materialized with this particular franchise. This movie right here ripped my guts out at the end. Oh man, was I crying?
Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh!
And I was like determined not to cry. I was like, you're not gonna get me again, Toy Story. You got me in 1, you got me in 2, but you're not gonna get me in 3. And then they're in the incinerator, and I'm like, but this is a really well crafted movie, and I love the way they keep building on the universe. and the new characters they add always feel appropriate. Like it doesn't feel like, oh, it's the Ken and Barbie like little side stuff was really great. You know, even the villain was menacing, but like in a relatable and kind of anyway. It's a really good movie. You don't need me to tell you that. You seen Toy Story 3. You loved it. You loved Toy Story 3, and the ending was so beautiful and so perfect. And then there was Toy Story 4, which we should talk about later because I'm guessing that's not on your list either.
It's not on my list. And I think Toy Story 3, similar to Cars, I enjoyed Toy Story 1. Obviously, it's a bit lower on my list. And Toy Story 2 was good. Didn't stray off as much as Cars 2 did. But it was good, but just didn't...
I liked it.
It didn't quite catch me like Toy Story 1 did. And then Toy Story 3 came out, and I was kind of like, okay, like another Toy Story, you know, Toy Story 2 was fine. And then I watched this, and like, and now you say that like you didn't really have attachments to toys and stuff like that. I was the opposite. Like every toy had feelings. Everything had feelings. If I got like a hole in a sock, I'm like, if I throw this sock away, it's not going to be paired with its sock. And like, you know, it's not like it got paired after the wash with the same sock anyways, you know, but it's just like, I have to throw this sock away. Like, and it was sad. And like, I kept all of my toys. All my toys are upstairs. All my action figures are upstairs in my boys' room. All my Legos are upstairs in the loft for everybody. Like, I kept all my toys. I didn't want to throw them away. I didn't want to get rid of them. I was like, I'm saving them for my kids as an excuse to not get rid of them. And then I actually had kids, and then I actually gave them to my kids. And so somehow that came out. But it started as just like, I'm just not getting rid of them. So toys have always, like, I've always had a thing for toys. And so Toy Story has kind of especially had that connection for me, because I'm like, when I'm not looking, I'm sure my toys are doing something. And so then like, yes, the incinerator scene is tough, but really like what really hit me was Andy giving away the toys to the little girl at the end and waving goodbye. And that's when I was just like, like I can't take this, Pixar. Like, why are you doing this to me? You know, and so like, beautiful. and so that, you know, and it was like Toy Story 3 was the perfect ending for the Toy Story franchise. And Toy Story 4 was good, but just, I'm like, I didn't need Toy Story 4. I didn't need it. Like, Toy Story 3 was the perfect ending to all of this. They went to a new home. You know, they just, it was a conclusion. Things got wrapped up. And then you had, like, Michael Keaton as Ken, and he was awesome, and the bad guy was like Keaton. Scary. He was like a scary stuffed animal. Like, you know, I'm just like, oh my goodness. So this movie was so good. I love this movie. Love it.
Would you, if they made a 5, you'd watch it, right? You'd watch it.
Well, of course I'd watch it, and then I'd be like, but 3.
Yeah. For
but
me,
3 was really good.
3, 2, 4, 1.
Oh wow!
Like one is like, I think my least favorite. Partly because the animation is just, you know, hasn't aged.
It's a little tough. It's a little tough.
And then partially just because like you once you've seen more like deeper into the Toy Story franchise, like it's really hard, I think, to go back and to watch like such an insecure Woody basically just whining and creating all these problems over Buzz. Like that storyline just doesn't like resonate as much. Like, I don't know. It's just kind of like, all right, yeah, let's just get. I'd rather watch them being friends. Like, let's just get to to Buzz and Woody working together here. I'd rather invest my time into seeing that partnership play out in a more positive way than sitting there rehashing an entire movie of him going, "It's a fake laser!" Ah! You know, it's like, all right, wait,
I'm trying to think of how I would order them. It would obviously be 3, 1, 4, 2, maybe.
Wow, you just didn't like 2. And that Sarah McLachlan song in Ever since she.
Oh yeah, that was tough. Like giving up Jesse, that was tough.
It's beautiful.
I don't know. Maybe 2 and then 4. I don't know. I would have to like watch them all again. There was some stuff in 4 that really caught me. Like maybe
some scary like horror movies.
There is. Like the little girl getting lost in the carnival and finding the doll, like that really got me. But like that was kind of it. I didn't really care for Sporky and stuff like that. I was like, okay, whatever. So maybe it would go 2 and then 4.
Okay.
I don't know.
That's fair.
I should watch them all again. I need to have a marathon, apparently.
You should.
All right. Number 2 for you, Charlie.
Number 3. Number 3 for me.
Wally. Now I do have Wally higher on my list. Oh,
right, let's
but it's next. It's next. So.
It's next. Hey, we did it. We did it again. Dun, 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 dun.
Wally.
Hey.
Wally's great. What a great movie Wally is. What a good movie for a main character that doesn't talk. It is so good.
Wow. Yeah, really, really compelling film. Now, has the sci-fi episode aired yet?
I would have to check the calendar.
You have either already heard me talk about Wally, or you will hear me talk about Wally. So I wanted to talk about
the sci-fi top 10 sci-fi movies has aired.
So these top 3 all have a deep personal significance to me. This movie came out just after my really good friend Dave passed away. And maybe like 4 months later, this movie popped up on the scene. And
I
remember just watching it for the first time, and it's a great movie, but it starts out with, you just don't have, it's just visuals, right? And this little robot character that you're kind of falling in love with, even though he's not talking. And it just kind of, it leaves you with like your imagination and your thoughts quite a bit. You're just a feast for the eyes and all that stuff in the beginning. And then it gets into the stuff later. And I just remember having a lot of time to just soak in that atmosphere and just be thinking about my friend and how I wish, I was just thinking, oh, he would have loved this and he would have loved that, and kind of missing his laugh when the funny stuff would happen. So just this particular film, for all the wonderful reasons it's a great movie, could easily just have it it could easily be my number 1. But just like it came out at a time where I really needed something to feel good. And this movie was something I watched a few times to kind of, when I was sad, and it just kind of like, it was cathartic for me. So it's differently now because, so much time has passed, and, I'm able to share it with my family. And so it's still great. But at the time it was a very meaningful film to me, just because, I think all top 3 came at a time I really needed a Pixar film, and There was Pixar putting out movies like every year when you needed it. So, so this one kind of hit home then, and hits home now. So, but we didn't get to hear you talk about Wally much. You wanna share some Wally thoughts?
Yeah, Wally. I really enjoyed Wally. I think, like I said, for a character that doesn't talk, we've got this little robot who's just kind of doing his thing, and he kind of makes noises. For me, it hits the sci-fi aspect that I love. I think it's got this really neat message of like, hey, we should take care of this place that we're living in. And, like the idea that humans, just kind of go up into space and just live on these little hover things and just drink all their shakes. And, it's really interesting. It's an interesting concept to think about. You have the artificial intelligence that's trying to keep them on there. You have, this like love story-esque between Wally and Eve, that's like, you've got so many things in this movie that are working together to make this really nice story. Plus, I love robots and I love sci-fi, and so this like hit the mark for me. Plus, Wally is super cute, And
He is super cute.
I just, yeah, this is great. I feel like Wally is a movie that I could pretty much like just kind of turn on and watch, and it's just a fun watch, and you can root for Wally, you can root for the humans, you can root for Eve.
You could root for the ship's AI. I don't know.
I mean,
good.
You could.
I would. I personally wouldn't, but.
So yeah.
It's
also interesting.
It's
It's also interesting that in this movie they have the live action scenes, like the
Fred Willard is a national treasure. May he rest in peace.
It's interesting when that pops up and you're like, that's a real person. Like, that's interesting. That's interesting. So
this is easily the best love story in all of Pixar, right? If there's anything that Toy Story Toy Story doesn't really give you any. In Cars 1, it seems like there's going to be this really nice love story they set up, and it makes my wife so angry when we watched Cars 2 and Cars 3 that really it's like all that buildup of the love story in Cars 1, and it's just like non-existent in the future Cars films. Like, do they even live in the same town? Are they together? Was there a weird Cars wedding? But do Cars even get married? Where do baby Cars come from? How does any of it work? I don't know, but to her point, yeah, they build up this like romantic little love story, and then they kind of just don't really. It's not a thing in the second one, and it's not a thing in the third one. This is easily the best love story I think in the Pixar verse.
It's great between two characters who like can barely talk to each other, but you're rooting for that. You're rooting for them the entire time. You're like, come on, Wally, come on, Eve. Like, oh, don't get rebooted, Wally. Like, you would do it. So yeah, it's great. Best love story? I don't know. I might give that to my number one.
All right. Number two. We ready?
Number two. Charlie's number two is
Monsters Inc. Whoosh. High five. This is absolutely like one of my all-time favorite Pixar.
We saw this together. I remember we saw this together.
And this movie came at the perfect time because this movie came out in November 2001 after 9/11 had happened, and there was just like I don't remember if this was the first movie I saw in theaters after that September 11th or not.
Okay.
But I just remember feeling, because there was a great World Series, which I'm sure you remember, Brody, between the Yankees and the Diamondbacks. It went 7 games, and it hadn't ended yet when this movie came out. But we didn't see this opening night. I don't think. I think it was after the World Series it ended. But this came out.
I don't remember
2nd, I think.
That amount of detail.
Yeah, I don't. Just because the World Series was very gripping, because after September 11th, you're kind of thinking the world has changed. The world has completely changed at that moment, and you don't know how much, how deeply, and where will you feel safe? When will you feel safe? All these questions that we're asking after being glued to a television set for a couple of days, and just trying to put pieces back together of normalcy. But watching Yankees Diamondbacks go to 7 games, and I can say this now because we're 20 years later, but I'm glad the Yankees lost because I hate the Yankees. No offense. If ever there were a year I could have stomached them winning, it would have been this. But they've got they won every year when I was in my formative baseball loving years. It was like just the Yankees constantly. So Luis Gonzalez blooping a little looper into the outfield to win Game 7 was enjoyable for me. But just the fact that we were able to play a 7-game World Series in crowded, packed stadiums was pretty intense. And it kind of, like, for me at least, kind of reset that idea that airports will certainly never be the same, and there's going to be things that never really feel quite the same, and certainly for people that lost people on that day, things will never be the same. But for the rest of the world, time kind of moves forward and time kind of moves on, and this movie was so refreshing and so different, and it was just like this really imaginative universe. And if you have learned anything watching these little episodes with me and Brody, you know I love me some Billy Crystal. Mm-hmm. If you do not like Billy Crystal, you will not like this film, because there's plenty of him in here, plenty of Billy hijinks. If you find him to be irritating, this is not your film. If you find him to be tolerable, this is not your film. But he is fantastic in this, and it just brought a lot of joy to me. The sequel, I thought was fine. The prequel. It was fine. It didn't have the same impact.
It didn't have Boo.
Gosh, there's some scary and emotional moments in this one. Woo. And that like final scene with Sully, and he walks in, and his expression on his face, it's just like, well. So this one is one of my just favorites, and this is one of those I could watch really anytime. Yeah. It could just be on, and I think we talked about this in one of the other episodes. Like there used to be like a scenario where you'd be flipping the channels, and then a movie would be on one of the channels, and you'd be like, oh, okay, anytime I'm flipping and this movie's on, I'm on. That doesn't happen anymore because it's all streaming. But sure. that idea sticks with me. You know, like, oh, if I walked in a room and my friends were watching this or my kids were watching this, I'd be like, oh, sweet, I'm pulling up a chair. Let's watch some Monsters Inc. Let's go.
Yeah,
no, you didn't get to talk about this one.
This one was a bit lower on my list. I really like this movie. It's great. All the Boo stuff is great. I don't know if I've watched this since I've had kids. Probably be tough. Like,
you haven't watched this with your kids yet?
I think my kids have. No, I have. I've watched. No, because my kids have seen it. It's been a little while. I think it's been, and that's probably why
there's some scary stuff.
It's lower on my list. But yeah, I just remember watching this in theaters. I remember, having the end and just like welling up, in the theaters in the end for this. I agree. The prequel Monsters University, didn't quite hit where this one hit. Was still fine. It wasn't a bad movie.
Watch.
But yeah, this one hit really well. It's a really, really solid movie. So
nice.
All right, our number one,
and you have never seen this movie, and so you probably don't even recognize the background. Oh, you're first.
I'm first.
Oh,
spoilers! Oh, Charlie.
Spoilers!
All right, well, my number one is Incredibles. No. Incredibles 1.
Yeah, it is.
I had a feeling
this would be your number.
I'm a superhero guy. At the time in 2004 when this came out, we had made it through, X-Men 1 and X-Men 2. And that's kind of it as far as superhero. We had like the Blades that had kind of come out. Yeah. But as far as like superheroes movies, like it's not like today. Like it was slim pickings back then. And so to have something like this, which is essentially the Fantastic Four, was awesome. And to have these CGI characters that could do this stuff. We couldn't do this stuff in live action. The technology just wasn't there to be able to make this stuff look good. And so we had this come out, and it's Pixar. You've got this story where it's a family. The dynamic between the husband and wife, Mr. Incredible and Miss Elastigirl, is great. I still remember, like, at the end, when they're getting out of the truck or out of the RV thing, and he says, like, I can't do this, and she's like, yes, you can, and he says, I can't do this without you, and it's just like that stuff just hits me so hard where, like, it's this family, who love each other. And watching it now, when Elastigirl and the kids are on the plane and they're targeting the plane with missiles and she's yelling like there's kids on this plane. You're just, as a parent now, you're like, oh my gosh, like, woo, And so this, I just love this movie. This is one that you could turn on and I'd watch it. The second one was fine. but I think it. I'll blame it on Marvel having such good movies that I'm like,
Yeah.
but now I have my superheroes. Incredibles 1 came out when I was like, I need more superhero movies in my life. And now I've got all my superheroes. And there was such a huge gap between when 1 and 2
Such a
came
big
out.
gap.
I had almost kind of lost interest. It came out. I don't even think I saw it until it came to streaming or blue or like Redbox or something. I didn't see it in theaters because I was kind of like, yeah, I'll see it eventually. And so it was fine, but the first one just holds such a special place. And I remember you and me seeing this midnight showing. It was
Yeah.
honestly probably one of the last movies. I think I've seen like 1 or 2 movies since then that have been midnight showings. But this one, like I remember, like
I miss the midnight showings with you, bro.
man,
We used to do that all the time. Oh,
I couldn't make it through. There's no point in me going to a midnight showing anymore
oh come on, Bree. Come on, Bree.
because I will fall asleep. Guaranteed, I'm falling asleep for a midnight showing. Midnight is like 3 hours after I go to bed any other night. And then you're starting a movie at midnight? There's no chance I am staying awake for a 2-hour movie. To go to 2 a.m.? No way. I'm too old.
We're gonna do it, bro. Next time we're together, we're gonna have our own private midnight showing or
Oh
something.
my goodness.
I'm gonna
Oh my
I'm gonna
goodness.
make you a big cup of coffee, and we're gonna burn the midnight oil, and we will live. We'll get together. We'll do a live video or
Yeah,
something of us.
that'll be a
watching.
great stream of me sleeping. It'll be bringing the
Okay?
views.
I'm gonna have like something that shocks you that'll like jolt you awake.
Just bring your sister
I-
in with a can of whipped cream and just slam it in my face. But this one, I love this. This is my number one. This was an easy number one for me. It hit the superhero thing. It hit the family thing. It hit the kid thing. It hit the marriage thing. Like it's great. Love this.
Yeah,
one.
I had you noticed I had this one lower on my list than you did, and for a while this was like one of my top 5 favorite films when this came out. This was easily like, and because like you, I thought, okay, this may be the best superhero movie that I get in my lifetime.
Sure.
And I was really excited for them to do a sequel, and I wanted it, give it to me now, inject this into my veins, give me more, and then all that time passed, all these great superhero movies between then and now, and this movie has certainly lost some luster for me. I still really enjoy it. I still think it's really a great film. It's another one that my kids just like never really gravitated towards. Try to get them into it, and they'd rather watch Spider-Man or they have so many superhero choices that just like an older animated film where it just doesn't hit with them.
For sure.
In fact, I think if they were here right now, they would tell you they like the second one better just because it's newer. The second one for me was the same kind of way. It's like yeah, there it is, and probably not fair to the movie, but maybe like 10 years too late. They could have just maybe done a sequel like a few years later. I mean,
Had a
got
sequel
Cars 2
come
and-
out in like 2006, 2 years afterwards, it would have like lit things up because that would have even been, 2006. We would have had would have been Batman Begins. Dark Knight hadn't even come out. Iron Man hadn't come out.
Yeah.
It could have been like that next superhero movie, and instead it's just, it's just after all the Marvel stuff.
You can have those big spaces and those big gaps between Toy Story, and in a way, when you have those, it just allows people who loved it younger to keep growing up and to keep feeling a different kind of connection to the characters, as like started out as a boy in the film and now he's in college and an adult. So you kind of feel like with Andy's journey in the background of all of this, and your toys, like, and just like a different it just ages different because you as the viewer are kind of aging along with it. Whereas just like an action, like a family action film is great. It's just not unique in the space. There's just so many other things that do what The Incredibles does now. Whereas I don't think there's as many things that are really anything that does what the Toy Story franchise does. So I just think they could have, if they could have capitalized a little bit more on that momentum, would have been great. But
Yeah.
alas,
Yeah,
look, they made enough money.
Yeah.
Fredbird did fine.
And to that point, like with Toy Story, Andy aged. It felt like it kind of aged in real time. The first one he was about, 10, something like that, and by the time it hit 3, like he was going off to college. Like Incredibles 2 picked up right when Incredibles 1 left off.
Yeah.
And it was like,
It's so
okay,
weird.
I haven't seen you guys in 15 years, and we're just going to pick up right at, the Underminer or whatever his name was, and so it just, yeah. So it was, but Incredibles 1, still my favorite Pixar. So, all right. Well,
spoiler. You
Charlie's
guys all know
number
what my
one.
number one is.
I know what it is. Woo! Woo! Is that me? Is that me with a bunch of beards? My goodness.
This is all Brody's beard.
Look at all that beard.
Circle around
My
Brody's
goodness.
beautiful head.
Wow.
This is my number one favorite Pixar film.
Holy smokes.
So for me, it is the beautiful and magical world of Coco.
I need to watch
you've
this
never
movie.
even bothered seeing.
I need to watch this movie. I'm gonna watch this movie.
I will stay away from major plot points, and I will just share with you my own personal experience with this movie. It is centered around two things that I love: music and family. And it is a movie that I saw. I was in Nebraska for my uncle's funeral, and we came back home, and my aunt had flown to California a little while after that, and she was just over at the house, and this was new to Netflix. And so we're like, let's put on Coco. And I didn't really know much about it. I hadn't seen a lot of the previews for it. I didn't have a lot of expectations. But death plays a very heavy role in this film. And she was married to this man for 40 plus years, and so I'm hyper conscious of her watching it. I'm watching the film and I want to watch the film. I'm really excited to see the film and I'm enjoying it, but I'm also kind of just shifting my eyeballs back and forth. Are we making a huge mistake? Is this is this going to destroy her?
For sure.
And I kept looking at her, and she just had this beautiful, beautiful smile on her face, and she watched the whole thing just lit up, and she loved it. And it deals with the a really painful subject material in a way that is bright and colorful, and it's just really vibrant. And at the time, the animation now, even just the short time later, you can see the improvements already from this to Soul.
Gotcha.
But it's still so beautiful. It's so bright. It's so colorful, which is runs so in contrast to the idea of death. And it has a lot to do with the culture that it's pulling from. And it's beautiful. And I think they treated the culture really, really well. I think that the idea of family and ancestry and carrying people with you in your heart and never forgetting your family, no matter how long they've been gone, it just hits on some really powerful themes. And it just hit me different watching it after having just lost my uncle, and then watching it with my aunt who had just lost her wonderful husband, and just it was beautiful, and she loved it, and that made me love it that much more. It's I mentioned I watched Wally after my friend passed, and here she is watching this Pixar film after her husband passed, and just kind of dealing with, just movies can be really healing, and it's not like you watch a movie and then all the pain goes away, but for an hour and a half, for 2 hours, you have that kind of immersive experience. It was one of the magic of storytelling, really, in anything, whether it's a book or a story, a painting, a movie, a television show, just of art in general. When you get to experience something that can transport you somewhere else, or just kind of help you, maybe give you permission to cry or to laugh at a time in your life where it's really hard to do one of those things. So I can't recommend this movie highly enough. It is a beautiful film. It's a beautiful film to watch with your family. It's a beautiful film to watch by yourself. I think the music is fantastic. A lot of guitar, which I just love. When this movie came out, it opened up a whole new world of songs to do with my students, because it was popular with the youngins. Although some of the guitars were quite challenging. So, but we're doing Everyone Loves Juanita or Remember Me with kids, and so I just have a lot of fond memories attached to this one, and it will be one that like I always will remember that viewing experience
for sure,
and what it meant to me at the time to watch it, and what it's meant to me since. So, and I imagine this one will hit different at different points in time from now as I age and continue to get older. But yeah, it's a beautiful film. It's a really well crafted story, and it's told very well. So I hope I didn't spoil too much there for you, bro.
No, not at all.
Music, bright colors, vibrant culture, and death.
No, I'm pretty sure my kids have seen this. I know Amy has seen this. I'm the only one in my family that hasn't seen this. I don't.
You gotta watch it.
Midnight showing. I know. Oh gosh, no.
Tonight at midnight. Pop it on.
I gotta work tomorrow. No, I should see this one. I think it's.
You should.
It's like the only big release that I haven't seen. Yeah. So I will be sure to watch that now that I know that it's your number one.
All right, I want you to update when you do. Update not just me but everybody here on in this very space, because I can tell you that the people are upset, bro. The people out there are upset.
Sorry
that we're doing a Pixar list and you have not seen a flagship Pixar film. They are angry.
Sorry.
You even watched The Good Dinosaur? You watched The Good Dinosaur? You didn't see this one?
I haven't seen The Good Dinosaur. That's another one that I haven't seen.
That movie could have been so much better.
I saw Planes 1 and 2 though.
That's not Pixar.
It's not Pixar?
Get out of here with that nonsense.
Was it just Disney?
That's just Disney, and they're trying to capitalize on the Cars thing. And they're like, why don't we write a story without heart, and then we'll get Dane Cook to voice the main character, and maybe people will like it. No. And look, Dane, if you're watching this, bud, you know what you are. You know what you are. You are not the lovable voice of a cartoon character. Get out of here. So yeah, that was not for. We tried to watch a little bit of that with the kids, and it was like, okay, this is not good. We're gonna turn this off.
My kids liked it when they were little. We haven't watched it in a long time though.
Dane Cook's a non-starter in our house. We have Dane Cook and Mark Wahlberg can star in some buddy cop films that I will never see, but will relentlessly.
Oh, Mark!
About.
Come on now.
They can start their own little funky bunch. There's a few of those guys that I just kind of you can put them all in a little corner and they can just stay there. But yeah, watching The Good Dinosaur was sad because you could see like this could have been a really great movie, and there was problems with production, and I think there was some.
Oh, was there?
I don't want to, watch it, bro, and you can get your own experiences. But when you're done watching it, read it. You can read a little bit behind the scenes of like why it took so long to make, and some of the reshoots and different things that happened during it, and why it wasn't really what it could have been. But it's fine.
Couple omissions just off the top of my head. You didn't have Bug's Life. Neither did I.
Neither did you. Let's be real here.
You didn't have Brave. Neither did I.
I didn't. That one really felt that came out like right around the time of Wreck-It Ralph, and it was like such a surreal. Like it felt like Wreck-It Ralph should have been the Pixar film.
I feel the exact
Brave
same
should
way.
have been the Disney.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. Brave. I didn't like Merida. I thought she was.
You didn't?
No. That she was a brat.
That's a fine. That movie's fine. Like it's a fine film. It's a fine film. It didn't hit for me the way that some of these other ones did, and again, it's got the some of the magic there with the bear and all that stuff, but just not the same. I think Pixar's at its best when it's like quirky and strange, but like magical and has the depths. When it kind of flips the universe upside down, I think those are my favorite Pixar films. Like Toys That Are Alive, or monsters that come into a children's room to scare them to like collect power, or the magical afterlife of Coco, or a rat chef. Stuff that's like just a little otherworldly. Maybe the rat chef doesn't fit in with those other ones, but those are some of my favorites. But yeah,
I'm trying to think of some other omissions that neither one of us had. We touched on Toy Story franchise. We touched on
the Toy Story franchise.
The Finding Dory, Nemo stuff.
Neither of us put Onward on there.
Oh, that's right. And I looked at that, and I thought that was a fine movie. I felt like I should have liked that
It's
more.
gonna be our quote of the day. It's a fine film. It's a fine movie.
I don't know why it didn't make my list. It was fun. I don't know. Why didn't it make your list?
You forgot that you forgot that it even existed. That's why it didn't make your list.
Maybe
it's a fine movie. No, I look. I liked Onward, and I don't think there's any shame that when there's 23 total Pixar films and you're picking out 10. I don't think there's any shame in being in the top 15 or top 20 for crying out loud. I liked it. I enjoyed it. I thought it was kind of a fun, where the real experience is the journey and not the destination kind of stories. I think they're always kind of fun stories. I found Chris Pratt to be likable, which is good, because he's not. Sometimes he's likable, and then sometimes he's ending the world by being a little whiny. I loved him in Parks and Rec.
He's also in Guardians of the Galaxy, one of your favorite Marvel movies.
He's great in the Guardians. Onward's good. Like, it starts like I don't know. It starts immediately with the dead dad stuff, and then the pants, and then he never really gets to see his dad. Like, it just sets up like such a disappointing, like, sad, like, and they try to make it less sad. Like, you really had this person all along with you, your older brother who kind of raised you, instead of your. It was just a sad. I don't know. It was like, it had like a sadness to it, even in the
Sure.
happy moments. But
Sure.
I like Tom Holland's, and so like if we extended this to top 15, it probably would have made it into my top 15. But
yeah, no, I think I'm in the same place. So
yeah, I'm scanning through. I don't think there was any other big like omissions that we didn't talk about. A lot of sequels didn't. We both only put you had 2 Toy Stories, but other than that, we both didn't put sequels really on our list.
yeah.
And I'm disappointed that you haven't seen Coco, and I'm curious. And now that I built it up as my number 1, you're probably not even gonna like it. But I think look, I know I said that Monsters University kind of hit different, and I did like that movie. I thought it was fun, and it was kind of like just a good time. I enjoyed watching it, and my kids liked that one. I think probably better than the first one. When they were a little bit younger.
Honestly, I don't remember a thing about Monsters University. I couldn't even tell you what the plot was. Like,
it's a fine
I know I've seen it.
It's a fine movie,
but I couldn't tell you a thing about it.
It's a prequel, and I tend not to like prequels in general as much as whatever comes after it, because I don't like. We've talked about this ad nauseum. I just don't like that storytelling device where you know what's already going to happen. I think Monsters University would have been far more interesting if you didn't know what was going to happen to them in the future. If you didn't know that Mike Wazowski couldn't be a scarer, and he's there like training to be a scarer, and you're like, oh, I wonder if he'll pull this out, and you already know that he's not a scarer. You already know he's going to fail at that job. So it just doesn't like, you don't have that like rooting for him. And so when he doesn't succeed, there's not like this, oh, well, I couldn't see that, oh no, so disappointed. It's like, of course he's not going to, I don't know. It's like, if you watch like Rudy in reverse or something, I don't know. It just, I don't know. It just hits a little different, but it's still fun. There's a lot of like, it's bright, it's colorful, it's enjoyable. It's just not as like in here, like
sure,
that, right
sure.
in the gut, right in the heart. It didn't have that same kind of like emotional attachment, but it's like, it's a nice way to spend an evening with the family. It's a good little popcorn flick.
Sure.
It's a fine film.
It's fine. It's fine. I don't remember anything about it, but I'm sure it was fine. All right. You have any final thoughts, Charlie?
I'm excited to continue to experience movies through the Pixar lens. I am curious to see what the technology will bring in terms of advancements for the visuals, because it's every new movie I'm like, how can it get better, and then it does.
Yeah.
And so I am excited to see more of those. I like this straight to Disney Plus thing. I'm hoping that keeps going. I loved watching Soul, like just at home with the kids, like, that's nice.
Yeah.
That's nice. So that was so I am excited to see that. I will say, if you could get one sequel to anything that exists in the Pixar universe, what would you pick?
Wally.
Okay, I'd watch that.
I mean, the Toy Stories, we've got a lot. We got a number of sequels. I got a sequel for Incredibles already, and was like, yeah, the first one's still better.
Cars 4, bro. Cars 4, Lightning McQueen wins a race. That's the title. That's the Cars 4, Lightning McQueen wins a race.
You know,
boom.
I don't know. Bugs Life 2, I don't know. You know, it's
Hey, bring it.
like, sure. I love Three Amigos. Like, you know.
Yeah,
what would a Three Amigos 2 be like? I don't know. Do a Bugs Life 2 and tell me.
I would watch if you gave me like an Incredibles 3, maybe like if they did like maybe with the kids a little older or something.
You know, I think Pixar does threes really well. So maybe it would be like everything else where I'm like, I really like 1. 2 kind of fell flat for me, and 3 was like the best one of the series. So
yeah,
maybe that would be good as an Incredibles 3 that's going to completely knock it out of the park for me.
Yeah, I can see that.
But yeah, I agree. I'm excited.
I'm
excited for new Pixar's and to see where we keep going. So
yeah, let's do it. By the way, a Monsters Inc. sequel would be great. Come on.
Yeah, we never got that.
Right?
I felt like we were going to get that pretty quickly, and then we didn't.
I thought I'd watch a sequel. I watch it, or just get Billy Crystal and something else. Hollywood. I know you tune into this all the time. We need more Billy Crystal. And I know he's got some free time now because Billy and I we're tight and we talk, and Billy's like, Charlie, I'm not doing anything these days. So I'm like, let's get Billy in some stuff. Let's get him working again.
There you go.
Our generation doesn't have a Billy Crystal. Our generation does not have a Billy Crystal.
We don't, do we?
Is Seth Rogen the Billy Crystal of our generation? I don't know.
I don't know. I'm not sure who the Billy Crystal of our generation is.
One of a kind, that Billy.
Yes, he is.
And if you tell me Adam Sandler is the Billy Crystal of our generation in the comments,
no.
I'm coming after you.
That's he's totally different.
Coming after Mark Wahlberg?
No, they're totally.
Right?
I would put Seth Rogen closer to Billy Crystal than I would Adam Sandler.
Yeah, agreed. So. I like Seth Rogen. I didn't think that I would, but he's continued to. I think he's a fantastic human being, and that just really helps sell him to me as I don't know. The older I get, the more I appreciate the quality of a person behind the work, and then it makes me root for them more. And so I'm a fan of Mr. Rogen as a human being, as a great Canadian, and as a filmmaker.
Well, there you go. Our next top 10 will be top 10 Seth Rogen movies.
Yeah, or just projects that he's been involved in. Watch Future Man, Brody. Watch Future Man.
I don't know what that is.
It's a television show.
Oh, okay.
On Hulu.
Oh,
watch.
I don't have Hulu.
All right, Hulu. We've talked about you so much on this. Can we get a sponsorship for Brody?
Oh,
just someone leave their Hulu login in the comments below, and Brody will reward you by talking about all things Hulu on the next one.
Yeah, I just got HBO because everything's on HBO.
Not everything.
Now I gotta get Hulu too. Gee whiz.
Yeah.
All right,
Netflix.
Charlie, take us home.
Useless. All right. Well, thank you so much for tuning in. We hope you guys had a good time. I know that we did. We just love getting to kind of share some time with you guys, share our stories with you guys, share life together, share Brody's beard together. May this vision haunt your dreams tonight. And hit that like and subscribe button. And we look forward to seeing you next time.
All right. Bye.
Bye.